Good evening. I'm just arranging the interface, rearranging the chat box. As far as the CAT pattern goes, since last 3 years, 9 papers, there have been 8 or 9 questions of simple interest, compound interest in CAT. Couple of times, these questions have been about installments. So probably installments we'll be able to cover in the third session of SICI. The first two will be fundamentals of SICI, how to calculate simple interest, compound interest with pen, without pen, tricks involved, answers verification, difference between SICI for 2 years, 3 years, ratio method, and something called as rule of 72. I have applied rule of 72 in topics like averages, mixed allegations. It's a very beautiful rule based on compounding. So let us start with basics first. So in terms of number of questions in the last 3 years, which is 9 slots, 9 papers, there have been 8 to 9 questions total in last 3 years. That is pretty much one question in every set. What are the basic terms we use in simple interest and compound interest? When you go to a bank, whether you deposit money or you take away money, at the start, money at the start is called the principal or sum. Even if you give money to a friend of yours or you take money from them, money at the beginning or at the start is called principal, or sum. Language could be Rohan gave a sum of rupees 35,000 to his friend at a certain rate of interest. When you put money in bank or when you borrow money from bank, if you're putting money, they give you something extra at the end of the year. That extra at the end of year is called rate of interest. And as I'm using word at the end of year, rate of interest is normally defined as per annum. Annum means a year or 12 months. Like some schemes might be offering 7.25% per annum. Some schemes might be offering 6% per annum. Annum is annual. Rate of interest is R percentage per annum. This is the extra money you will receive if you are keeping money in bank. If you borrow, you'll have to pay extra R% every year. Now let us say you deposit your money for 3 years. So the number of years or term is N. Stop using the variable T, it confuses people. Use the variable N to represent the number of years or number of terms. Sometimes when I use the word term, like FDs, some of the FDs renew FDs. They renew every 6 months. So the term becomes 6 months. So if you deposit, let us say, money for 2 years, you will have 4 terms. 6 months appear twice in a year. So in 2 years, they appear 4 times. So the term becomes 4 years. Term is number of repetitions. Term is the cycle in which interest will be calculated. So use the standard way as N. N is the number of years or number of terms. Amount, what is amount? Let us say if I keep in bank rupees 1 lakh. And at the end of the duration of, let us say, 1 year, along with 6% interest, they pay me some money. The money returned at the end. The money returned at the end is called amount. Usually amount is simply calculated as principal plus interest is amount. What am I doing here? I am defining terms for you. I am defining what is principal. Principal is money at the start. Either you deposit this money in bank, you take this money from bank, you give this money to your friend, or you take this money from your friend. Money at the start is called principal or sum. Whatever extra payments are done every year are defined through percentage. They are defined as R percentage per annum. Per annum stands for 12 months. Now number of years or number of terms is n. Stop using the variable t, it confuses people. Amount is the money you receive at the end or money you have to pay at the end. So it is principal plus interest, that is the amount. So first I will show you what formulas are there. Formulas for SI, formulas for CI. Then I'll derive these formulas for you so that you can understand. Formulas are not to be used unless the question requires the variable to be found. I'll show you those examples as well. Try and avoid unnecessary formulas in SI and CI. So what are the formulas we use in SI? Simple interest. The interest itself is calculated as P into N is the number of cycles into R upon 100. How do we calculate amount? Amount is equal to P plus SI, which I can rewrite as P plus PNR. Amount is equal to principal plus PNR upon 100. I can take P common. 1 plus NR upon 100. So very simple formulas. This formula and this formula should suffice. As far as formulas are concerned for SI, take your time, jot them down. Simple formulas, very simple approach, nothing advanced. We will see application of these, we will see modification of these as we move along. At this stage, copy this down. Copy this down. Now, formulas that we use in compound interest. In compound interest, it is easier to calculate amount. Amount can be written as P multiplied by 1 plus R upon 100 to the power n. And we say simple interest can be calculated as amount minus principal. So I can rearrange this principal into 1 plus R upon 100 to the power n minus principal. I can further rearrange P common 1 plus R upon 100 to the power n minus P. So highlight these formulas. I'll show you the derivation as well. Don't worry. I'll show you the internal working of all formulas. How do they work? Try to remember the first one and the last one. Others we can work around it. This is 1. P is common. This is 1. Comment done. Now, a comparison between the SI and CI values. So I will be giving you some results in between. I'll be writing a complete table on the screen. So when I tell you to write down something, then only you spend time and write down. For the first 7-8 minutes, let me complete the table, and then I'll tell you what to write down. If I give you a phrase, focus on this, work on this, then write that down in margin. Probably if you have a large copy, so put that in the horizontal format, or as we call it, landscape format. It'll be easier for you to write. I'm going to compare SI and CI for a principal of 10,000 rupees. I'm keeping numbers simple. Rate of interest being 10% per annum, PA per annum. And right now I'm focusing on 3 years. I'm focusing only on 3 years. So what I'm interested in is how do these two work? First, I'm going to write, let us say, SI values. I'm interested in what parameters, what year is running. For that year, what is the principal? For that year, how much interest has been created? And if I close the account, what will I take home? I want to calculate same things for CI. For CI, what year is currently running? What is the principal for that specific year? Interest generated in that year and amount taken home that year if I close the account. So year is one. I go to the bank and I deposit 10,000 rupees. Banker has promised me 10% interest. So when the year ends, 10% basically means 1 by 10, 1 by 10, removing the unit digit. Remove the unit digit, 0. So banker will say, sir, 1,000 rupees is your earning. If I close the account, the money given to me will be 11,000 rupees. If I decide to continue with the same bank, please observe, bankers will keep the interest aside. They'll say, sir, your deposit was 10,000. And if I continue for second year, what is 10% of this? 1,000 rupees. If I close the account at the end of 2 years, what they will do is they will add both interests and give it to me at the end of the year. So pay attention. Interest is not added during the cycle is going on or the time period is not up. I've kept the money for how many years? 3 years. Interest will not be added until 3 years are over. If I continue with the same bank, same banker, they will keep these 1,000 and 1,000 aside. The principal remains 10,000. And here, if I ask for interest, 1,000 rupees this year as well. If I close the account, they will add this, add this, add this, and say, take home 13,000. Don't copy anything. Just somewhere in the margin or somewhere in a different page, write down. Interest is added at the end of term period. For what? For simple interest. For SI, interest is added at the end of the term period. That is why the principal remains constant throughout and interest also remains constant throughout. So what you should be writing is interest is added at the end of term period. If I keep the money in bank for 10 years, everything will be added at the end of 10th year. So can I say every year I am earning 1,000 rupees? 1,000 rupees. If I keep the money for 5 years, 5,000 rupees. 10 years, 10,000 rupees. So this is where the formula comes from. Interest for first year is principal into R upon 100. And this does not change. It keeps on going. 2 years, double. 3 years, triple. 5 years, 5 times. So interest for all years combined becomes P into N into R upon 100. This is what? 10%. So 10% plus 10% plus 10%. So how I teach SI is, don't focus on principal, you focus on NR. These are examples, you can write it on a separate page. If I ask you on a principal of, let us say, 25,000 with a rate of interest 6.25% for 4 years, how much money will I take home? So keep your pen steady. You focus on these numbers. You multiply both. Every year, the earning is 6.25. 6.25 into 4, 25. So my earning for 4 years is 25%. So simply calculate 25%, add it up. What will be 25% of this? 6250. You can calculate percentage, I'm sure of this. So what money will I take home? I will take home 31,250. So never use these formulas in this manner. Focus on NR. What you should be doing is basically calculate N into R percentage. Let us say some scheme offers me, let us say it offers me 7.25%. Some scheme. How much money will I take home in 6 years? What is 6 into 7? 42. What is 0.25 into 6? 1.5. So 43.5% money I will take home. Any question relating SI, you should try and think in NR terms. NR. It is 10%, 10%, 10%, 3 years. So I could have directly added to this value, I could have added 30%. So write this down somewhere. These are examples. This was the example I created for you. On a principal of 25,000, 6.25% per annum, how much money will I take home in 4 years? Multiply NR. Treat NR as the final percentage for you. NR is the percentage. That is what is called simple interest, and that is the derivation of the formula. You calculate R percentage of P for 1 year. You want 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, multiply that much. So rather than multiplying P with that, you multiply NR and keep it separate and add it at the end. Internal working of simple interest. Comment done once you have copied all this. Comment done. Moving on. So I'll clean some of this. I need space here. Now here, if it is first year compound interest, I go to the bank, I deposit 10,000 rupees in the bank, and I want to know what money have I earned at the end of the year. So 10% is calculated and it is given to me as 1,000 rupees interest. If I close the account, I will take home 11,000 rupees. But if I decide to stay with the same bank for another year, this is the difference for the language. Write it down somewhere. Amount at the end of the year becomes the principal for the next year. For the language, amount at the end of the year becomes principal for the next year. How do we calculate 10%? Remove the unit position, remove the unit place. 1100 rupees is the earning. What will I take home? 12,100. If I decide to stay with the bank for another year, third year, language, write it down somewhere. Amount at the end of the year becomes the principal for the next. So what is 10%? 1210. What do I take home? 13310. So here notice for the first year, for the first year, SI and CI are identical. If the principal and rate of interest is unchanged, SI, CI are same. You notice from second year onwards, see, there is 2000 rupees interest earned and there is 2100 rupees interest earned in 2 years. So from second year, compound interest becomes more than simple interest. Because the interest is more, amount will also become more. Second year, third year, fourth year, the gap keeps on widening between SI and CI. So one thing that you have written so far, I hope, is amount at the end of the year becomes the principal for next. Second observation, this one. SI and CI are same for the first year. Wording, second year onwards, simple interest becomes more than compound interest becomes more than simple interest. Compound interest becomes more than simple interest and the gap widens. You see the gap here is 100 rupees, 100, and here you come, the gap is 310 rupees. Here the amount is 13,000. Here it is 13,310. So gap will start to widen from second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, and so on and so forth. Copy this down. Now I'll teach you the working of the formula and then I'll show you the internal working. Comment done. Comment done, guys. You can copy it on the table now. Good. Good. Now, I want you guys to revise a small concept that we have seen earlier. In percentages, we have seen profit loss, we have seen. Do you guys remember when we are trying to increase our percentages? What do we multiply? We multiply the number with 1 plus R upon 100. If I want to increase 10 percentages, I can multiply 1 plus 10 upon 100. If I want 20% increase, I will multiply the number n with 1 plus 20 upon 100. So apply that thought process here. This was the principle that we had, 10,000. When this principle reaches here, it has increased by 10 percentages. So this amount is the same amount as this. It's a principal now. Again, we perform a 10% increase. It has become 12,100, which is the principal here. It has gone here and increased as 1 plus 10 upon 100. This is the amount. This is the formula for amount. You notice this is principal multiplied by 1 plus what is this? R. R upon 100. How many times is it? 3 times, because 3 years. So 3 times. So if the number of years was n, that is the formula for amount. First, copy this down. I hope my image, my video is not covering any part of the formula. It's not. Copy this down, comment done. Now I want you to observe. In simple interest, the formula for amount was amount is equal to principal plus interest. And I want you to observe here also on the screen, the money was added at the end. The money or the interest was added at the end. Here, from the first year, money is getting multiplied. So here you can observe and say, as a comparison, I'm saying, under simple interest, money increases by additions. Under simple interest, money increases by additions. Under compound interest, money increases by multiplications. Under simple interest, money increases by additions. Under compound interest, money increases by additions. Compound interest, money increases by multiplications. Under compound interest, money increases by multiplication. Money multiplies, as we say. Money multiplies under compound interest and money is added under simple interest. I'll show you the benefits of this. Don't worry, I'll show you. I will remind you of these sentences when we are solving higher level questions. Basic कोई बना देता. Now I want you guys to recall one more thing. Do you remember when changes happen one after other? Increase and then again increase and again increase. It is also called successive increase or successive change. So compounding is successive change. Compounding is basically successive change ka formula. If you guys have seen the percentage session, in compounding, the percentages are increased successively. In compounding, percentages are increased successively. So I have done what here? I have derived the formulas for SI, CI, their amounts, and established a comparison. All results have been given to you. 6 to 7 results have been given to you by now. Principal does not change, interest does not change, money is added at the end. Amount at the end of the year becomes the principal for the next year. Money increases by multiplications. First year they are all same. From second year onwards, compound interest becomes more and the gap widens as you go to third year, fourth year, and fifth year, and so on, so on. Now, what is the internal working of CI? So first, let me go back to these numbers and look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. Compound interest for the first year was 1,000 rupees. Compound interest, not for 2 years, second year. Second year was 1100 rupees. Compound interest for third year was 1210. So this is the internal working, guys. What was the rate of interest? The rate of interest was 10%. So do you guys observe in the second year, it is previous year interest plus 10% of itself. What is 10% of 1000? 100 rupees. So this is the concept I want you guys to observe. What is the interest for second year? It is 1100 rupees, and when I add 10% of itself, what is 10%? Cancelling the last zero is 10%. 1100 plus 110. So does this number match with this? Does this number match with the 1100 value? Now, as a formula, it looks complicated, but listen to the wording. Compound interest of the nth year could be third year, fourth year, fifth year, is, listen to this, compound interest of the previous year increased by R percentages. Equation might confuse you, don't worry about the equation. Follow the wording. Compound interest of nth year is previous year interest raised by R percentages. Compound interest for nth year is previous year interest raised by R percentages. This is the internal working of compound interest, and again many advanced questions can be solved through this. I'll show you those questions, don't worry. Compound interest of nth year. N could be second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. If it is fifth year, compound interest of the fifth year is compound interest of fourth year increased by R percentages. Compound interest of fourth year increased by R percentages. How does this help me? So let me create a small question for you. Let me create values as well for you. Give me a second, just a second. No, I'll tell you why am I teaching you this in so much detail. Because वो formula वाले question बेटा गायब हो गए CAT से. You'll have advanced questions. Observe. So I'm telling you, in some scheme, you do not know the principal, you do not know the rate of interest. It is not known to you. What is known to you is compounding scheme is there, and the second year interest is 3600, and the third year interest is 4320. Can you find for me the principal and rate of interest and also the total interest for 4 years? Write down all of this. For a certain principal and rate of interest, for a certain principal and rate of interest, for a certain principal and rate of interest, compound interest for second year is 3600. For third year, not 3 years, third year, it is 4320. Can you find principal? Can you find rate of interest and total interest for 4 years? Give it a try. I'll wait for you guys. Try this. I've trained you how to find percentage change through ratio. I am saying third year value is R percentages more on this. R percentages more on this. Simply use a calculator and divide both. You simply do one thing. I'll use this area. You simply divide the third year ka interest by second year. Just divide both. What value do you guys get? What is the ratio that you guys are getting? What decimal are you guys getting? Very good. Others also try to करना है, catch तो लिखना. Good, good. More people? Very good. So this is 20 percentages more. This is 20 percentages more. Observe what is being said. The current year interest is R percentages more than the last year. So third year is 20% more than the last. Can I say I could also find the first year interest? Observe, I'm cleaning some part of the screen. Or let me do it for you here. Whatever is the first year ka interest, first year ka interest increased by 20 percentage. How do you increase 20 percentages? 12 upon 10 is equal to second year ka interest. सही जा रहे हैं? So this cancels 30, 300 cross multiply. So you can find out the first year interest is 3000. If first year interest is 3000, can I say 3000 rupees is basically 20 percentage of the principal? So observe, cancel 5, cross multiply, principal becomes 15,000. So just by giving you interest for any 2 years, if I give you interest, any 2 years, if I give you interest, you could find out everything about the scheme. First, I found out the percentage gap between them. The percentage gap is 20. That is the value of R. It's a higher level concept. I'm covering that in form of theory. So rate of interest is 20%. So there must be 20% increase here as well. So first year interest into 20% increase. How do you increase 20%? 120 upon 100. 120 upon 100. So that gives me first year interest as 3000. And first year interest itself is 20%. So principal becomes 15,000. In this manner, we can move around with this. Now, what was the second part of the question? Can you find the fourth year interest? So just increase this number by 20%. Whatever number you have, 4320, increase by 20%. Your answer is ready. How do you increase 20%? Multiply 12 by 10. That's it. Your answer is ready. Take your time, understand the question, copy all of this down, comment done. Good. Others also confirm. Is the example clear to you? What I was trying to convey is interest of the current year is R percentage more than the previous year. Good. Now at this stage, I would like you guys to observe the successive change part, because you will come across a question which will ask you for difference of 2 years, difference of 3 years as successive change. If some number was there n and I increase it by 10 percentage and again increase it by 20 percentage, so what is this increase equal to? What is this increase and this increase equivalent to or equal to? So the formula for the change is A plus B plus A into B upon 100. A must be in the percentage form. You cannot write it as a fraction. Percentage form के लिए formula बना है. B also must be in the percentage form. So 20% and 10% increase is equal to what? So that change is equal to, in this case, let me use the formula directly, 10 plus 20 plus 200 by 100. So that is basically 32% increase. In compounding, you will have same number. Let us say I have 8% compounding for 2 years. So what is the total earning? Total earning would be 8 plus 8 plus 8 square upon 100, which is basically 16.64 percentages. Or you want to create a formula. So R percentage for 2 years, the interest total would be 2R plus R square upon 100. What if there is a third year as well? What if there is a third year? So this part, I think you guys have seen me cover in percentage change. If it is R percentage for 3 years, what will the interest look like? Interest would look like 3R plus 3R square upon 100 plus R cube upon 1000. Not 1000, 100 square, 10,000. I understand it's difficult to work with, but I wanted to write down these formulas at least. Write down these formulas. We can customize them when there is a need. These two that I'm highlighting, at least copy these down. Don't generalize the formula. Write the wording. The previous slide I'm talking about, somebody has asked me a doubt. Previous slide, don't try to write the formula. Simply say previous year interest increased by R percentages is equal to current year interest. That's all. So N or R में you will get confused. You will get confused in N and R. Now, this is additional. You may or may not find this in books. I want you to observe some patterns, and this will help you a lot in solving questions faster. Can I say whenever there is a 10% raise increase, what we multiply is 11 upon 10. If it is 2 years, what do we multiply? 11 square. 11 square. 121 upon 100. If it is 3 years, we multiply 11 cube upon 10 cube. That is 1331 1000. So you will come across questions in compounding. R value will be hidden from you. They will hide the value of R and they will give you amount. If you see the value of amount, if the value of amount is a multiple of 11 or powers of 11, the R is 10%. If R is 20%, there are two ways to write that. 20% can be written as 12 upon 10, or you could write it as 6 upon 5. If it is for 2 years, 144 upon 100. If it is for 3 years, 1728 upon 1000, or 36 upon 25, 216 upon 125. What I am telling you is, in some questions, they will hide these numbers from you. They will hide the rate of interest and they'll ask you the last value is 216 upon 125. Cube of 6 upon cube of 5. So if you see amount is a multiple of 12 or powers of 12, the rate of interest is 20%. Similarly, for 30%, let me write it somewhere here. It will be very useful to you remembering these numbers. If R is equal to 30%, which is rare. So first year amount is 13 by 10. Second year amount is 169 by 100. Third year is 2197 upon 1000. So you see, if you have a multiple of 2197 for 3 years amount, rate of interest 30%. Nowadays, CAT is playing tricks with students by giving decimal rate of interest, 6.5%. कैसे करना? I'll show you. I'll teach you that as well. So two formulas on the screen. 2R plus R square upon 100, 3R plus 3R square plus R cube upon 10,000, 100 square basically. And then observations, 10%, 20%, 30% amount के लिए observations. Comment done. Third year is basically that successive formula applied twice. Successive formula applied twice. Now, what is the comparison or difference between SICI for 2 years? What is their ratio? If it is asked for 3 years or 4 years, I'll say use the calculator. How? I'll show that to you, don't worry. For 2 years, there's a formula. And which 2 years? First 2 years, always first. You cannot say I'm looking for difference of 4th and 5th year. No, the formula is only for the first 2 years of investment. The difference between CI and SI for 2 years is given by P multiplied by R upon 100 whole square. P multiplied by R upon 100 whole square. Let us say you are curious, how did we reach this conclusion? If the rate of interest is R%, for, can I say, for compound interest, the earning will be 2r plus r square upon 100 percentage. We have seen this earlier. Simple interest, because it is just addition for 2 years, r plus r, it will be 2r percentage. So when I subtract both, do you see this will get cancelled and this will remain as r square upon 100. What is that? That is a percentage. Let us say this was 10 percentage. How do you calculate percentage further? Any percentage, how do you calculate? You divide it by 100 further. So if you want the gap in money, this is the gap in money. P r upon 100, you see both are squared. R square upon 100 goes below, so 100 square as well. That is the creation of the formula. For 2 years, it is good, it is okay to remember these. What if a ratio has been given or asked? If I say the rate of interest is 5%, or maybe they want to ask me what is rate of interest. What is the ratio for SI and CI for 2 years? What is the ratio for SI and CI for 2 years? The ratio for CI and SI is 200 upon 200 plus R. Is always percentage. So you want the ratio. It is 200 upon 205, which I can cancel. 40 upon 41. So in exam, it will probably be other way around. They will give you the simple interest, compound interest value for 2 years. Then they'll ask you for rate of interest. So this is the ratio for 2 years, 2 complete years. SI and CI for 2 years. Copy this down. What kind of question can be framed? You will be told that simple interest for 2 years, let us say, is divide हो जाएगा. Let us say it is 120, and you will be told compound interest for 2 years is 123. You will be asked, can you find the principal? Can you find the principal? So what I will end up doing is I will divide these two. 120 upon 123 is equal to, I will write 200 upon 200 plus R. I will directly get the value of R and I can take it reverse from there. A lot of these things might be new to you because usually mentors assume बच्चा खुद समझ लेगा. So these results are assumed. आप देख लोगे, drive कर लोगे. Because I have faced these difficulties, so I'm sharing those through experience. लिखो, comment done. For 2 years, SI upon CI is 40 by 41. Questions can be framed on higher level as well. Comment done. There are more ways. There are more ways, no doubt.
moving on from this, guys. Chalo. More, one more time. Copy kare, comment done. I'll get to see you guys have taken this down. Copy karo, comment done. Formula for 3 years is very easy. You want to cover the formula? I'm adding one extra slide. ये देखो आप. I cannot go back to this. I cannot go back to this. तो अभी copy करके आगे बढ़ना है. Compound interest for 3 years, all 3 years I have shown you is, but मत use करना formula and exam. फंसोगे इसमें. 3r plus 3r square upon 100 plus r cube upon 10,000. What is simple interest for 3 years? 3r. Simply 3r. When you subtract both, तो ये कट जाएगा. The difference for 3 years is 3r square upon 100 and r cube upon 10,000 percentage. See, small example. Let us say the rate of interest is 8%. What is the difference between CI and SI? Let us say principal is a large number, 2 lakhs. So you want to use the formula. This is the formula. The difference will be 3 into 8 square upon 100 and 8 cube upon 10,000. This is 64. This is 64 into 3, 192. 192 into 3 upon 100, which is 1.92 into 3, which is 6, 7, 5, 5.76%. And what is 8 cube? 512. This is 512 upon 10,000. तो ये 3 0 कटेंगे, डेसिमल आगे आ जाएगा. तो बेसिकली 0.05, 0.0512. 0.05 is more than enough. So that is 5.81% gap. Now, from perspective of CAT, you will have a calculator. So you should not be doing this. Rather, this is what you should do in CAT. If there is a calculator, do something different. You could have said that 8% increase can be done as 1.08. How many years? 3 years. This is compounding. 8%, 8%, 8% for 3 years. Simple interest is 24%. So 1.24. The difference of these two multiplied with 2 lakh rupees. So pretty much on screen you will get your answer without writing anything. Right now you'll have to calculate this much percentage of 2 lakhs. If your exam does not allow you a calculator, go with this. It's a beautiful approach. This approach is there for without calculator exams. This is calculation of this. This is your answer. The approach on left side, the approach on left hand side is for CAT. Basically, what have you done here? This is 1 plus r upon 100 cube. And what is this? 3r percentage. This is 3r percentage, 24%. So gap between CISI is this. Copy this down. Once I change the slide, I cannot come back to it. Good. I'm changing the slide. I cannot come back to this. Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason these are new to you, because seriousness is lacking on both sides of the, I'll say, aisle or border. Chalo, moving on. Moving on from this. Now, what is called rule of 72? It is basically rule of 69 plus something. 69 plus something. But don't worry. For CAT and all other exams, rule of 72 is used for compounding only. The statement would be, whatever principal you keep in the bank, P, for principal to get doubled, for your investment to get doubled, multiplication of rate of interest and number of years must be closest to 72. Multiplication of number of years and rate of interest must be 72. Like the question is, I have 5% as rate of interest. How many years do I have to wait for my money to be doubled? Under what? Under CI. CI is critical. This is not for SI, this is CI. How many years do I have to wait for the money to be doubled? So we say 5 multiplied by n is equal to 72. N is equal to 72 by 5, which is 14.4 years. So either you say you have to wait 14 and a half years, or usually the answer in CAD would be in the 15th year. Because 14 years are over, 15th is running. In 15th year, your money will be doubled. When 15th year ends, your money will be doubled. Reversal, reversal. I want the money to be doubled in 10 years time. I have 10 years time. What rate of interest should I charge? What rate of interest should I get if I want money to be doubled in 10 years? Double is the key. Double. So we say n into r should be 72. 10 into r is equal to 72. So r must be 7.2 percentages. This must be 7.2 percentages. There's a formula for triple as well, but I have never come across it in mocks or in CAD paper so far. Maybe you'll come across this. That is called rule of 114. This will again be new for most of you, and probably 90% of the mentors in the market will be new for them as well. So don't ask your other mentors, don't torture them. If n into r is closest to 114, your money is getting tripled. Your principal is getting tripled if n into r is closest to 114. So 72 का double मत कर देना. Don't make it 144. That's a common mistake. 114. लिखो इसको. Rule of 72 is there only for the money to be doubled under compound interest. Commentary done. Good. Others confirm. Good. So now what happens when a larger scheme is broken into smaller schemes? That's a very easy theory, very easy concept. And I can show you application of this as recent as CAT 2022 and 2023. I can show you application of this. Breaking down a larger scheme into smaller parts. What difference does it make? See, if I talk about simple interest, let us say I was promised by the bank, or rather I put the money in the bank with 10% per annum. Per annum means 12 months. But for some reason, the banking scheme changed, or the new finance minister brings in a new law that rather than calculating interest every year, they want to do it in 6 months' time. So here what happens, here's what happens here. You are dividing the cycle in two equal parts. So this will also be divided into two equal parts. That will be 5% interest and 5% interest. If, let us say, if it was 10% per annum, but for some reason we are being asked quarterly payments. What is quarter? 1/4. 1/4 means 3 months. Because you are dividing the time duration by 4, the interest will also be divided individually by 4. It will become 2.5% every quarter. Now here is the twist. In simple interest, interest is added at the end. So even if you say half yearly, you will add them at the end of 6 months and 6 months. So you are again making 10%. Even if you ask quarterly payments, you ask quarterly deposits, you will again add at the end. So it will be 10/4 plus 4 times. So you'll have 10% interest. In simple interest, it makes no difference when you break down the payment scheme. It makes no difference when you break down the cycle or you create smaller payment cycles. Write it down, observe. Because we add what? We add money at the end. At the end, we add money, so it makes no difference. You have any percent, you have 5%, and now somebody says, pay me every month. So 5/12, 5/12, 5/12 will be added 12 times. It will again become 5%. So breaking a larger scheme in simple interest has no effect. There is no change. What happens in compounding is, if the interest is decided 10% per annum, but now you have to pay half yearly, it will become 5% and 5%. Here's the problem. First, you will add this 5%, and then you will add another 5% on the top of it. It's called compounding. So here, your effective rate of interest becomes successive. 5 plus 5 plus 25 upon 100, which is 10.25. What was the agreed interest in the beginning? 10%. Because you have broken down the scheme into smaller parts, the interest will start to increase. In compounding, this is called effective rate of interest or effective annual rate of interest. So when you break down a scheme into smaller parts, it generates more interest. I will not use 10%, but let me use a different number here. If it was 8% per annum, what kind of question was there in CAT? You can observe here, learn this. 8% per annum was given as a loan, to somebody named, let us say, Suresh, for 1 year, on an amount of, let us say, 1,20,000. 1,20,000. But the bank changed its policy and started asking quarterly payments, quarterly payment of the interest, or charging interest quarterly. What is the extra money he will have to pay? What is the extra sum, extra amount Suresh will have to pay? Write down the sentence, write down the phrasing of the question. 8% interest per annum was agreed upon for a loan of 1,20,000. 1,20,000. But bank is charging interest quarterly. How much extra amount will Suresh have to pay? How much extra amount will Suresh have to pay? Can I say right now in its original form, Suresh is supposed to pay 1,20,000 multiplied by 1.08. Just calculate with a calculator, leave it there. Now what is happening is quarterly means 4 parts. So what you do is you divide it by 4 basically. What is 8% by 4? 2%. Now how many quarters are there in a year? 4 quarters. So please be careful. What you're supposed to multiply is 1,20,000 multiplied by 2% increase. This is 2% increase 4 times. A year has 4 quarters. So wording, cycle. There are 4 cycles. The power 4. This is the amount. You subtract both and your answer is ready. See, you subtract these two and your answer is ready. Simple interest has absolutely no difference. Simple interest has no change. Simple interest does not change. The last slide was for simple interest. The current slide is for compound interest. So the answer will be the difference of the two numbers. That is fine. That is fine. Comment your answers. Comment done. There is always extra interest at the end of the year when you break down a larger scheme into smaller. Done. Very good. Comment your answers. I'll also calculate along with you guys. In CAT, you will not have access to a power calculator. You cannot use power. This one you cannot use. So you have to multiply 1.02 manually 4 times by typing basically. The gap is around 292 rupees, 291.8 rupees. Yes. Yes, very good. Chalo, moving on from this as well. So first question for you on the screen. You guys have roughly 1 to 2 minutes. Comment. These first 7, 8 questions, 10 questions are just practice. Whatever formulas you have seen, don't use them. Answer these questions with common sense. So give me an answer. Yes, your answer is correct. Yes. Yes. So if this is, let us say, exam like CET, CMAT, maybe NMAT, you can expect such questions directly there. So here, I am suggesting you guys focus on the scheme. The scheme is simple interest. How much are you earning? You are earning 5 percentages. For how many years? For 5 years. So what is 5 percentages for 5 years? That is 25 percentages. So you will be earning 25 percentages. What is 25 percentage of 3000? See, percentage means upon 100. So this percentage and these two zeros are cancelled. 30 into 25, 750. This is the only answer with 750. Hold your pen. Hold on to your pen. 5% every year for 5 years. So total interest is 25%. 25%, how do we calculate? Any percentage. Any percentage when you calculate, it is basically upon 100. So when you calculate percentage with large numbers, let us say A, B, 0, 0, 0, some zeros are there, some zeros are there. So you can cancel the percentage sign and 2 zeros directly. You can cancel 2 zeros and percentage sign. So here what I noticed is 25 percentage earning. So I can cancel the percentage, I can cancel 2 zeros. So 30 into 25 is the earning. That is 750 rupees is the earning. You don't have to apply PNR upon 100. Why do you want to do this? Nahi karna hai, don't do this. So simple interest, simply imagine you are adding percentage again and again. Try this next one. Take 1 to 2 minutes. Comment your answers. I'm looking at multiple answers which are incorrect. First, I want you guys to observe this part. We have talked about this. I told you I'll remind you these sentences. I've told you this. Under simple interest, your principal increases by additions. The amount or the money increases by additions. Let us say you keep 100 rupees principal in the bank and you want the money to become triple, the money to become triple of itself. How much is the interest? How much is the interest earned? Interest earned is 200. Understand? 100 rupees ke upar, if you earn 1 rupee, that is 1%. You earn 2 rupees above 100, that is 2%. You earn anything above 100 is a percentage. So how much are you earning? How much are you earning? You are earning 200 percentage. 200 percentage. 200 percentage. When you are earning 20 percentage every year, it will take you 10 years. One more way to remember this, think of this. If the principal is P and the principal has become n times of P, n times, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, or let me use it x times. Principal has become x times of P. So what is the growth? See, we say final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. So you see, this is the growth. This is the earning. So when money triples itself, the growth is 200%. When money doubles itself, the growth is 100%. When the money becomes 5 times of itself, 5 times, the growth is 400%. So in this question, the growth is 200%. What is the growth every year? 20%. So how many years will I take to match it? 10. Take your time. Understand what I am trying to teach you on this side. I don't want you to mug up formulas. If it helps you, write it down. If it helps, this is the initial principle and this is the final amount. What is the growth? Final value minus initial upon initial into 100. X minus 1 into 100. This was money becoming 5 times. This was money becoming 3 times. Money becoming 2 times. What is the growth? Comment done. You guys are not seeing any advanced question. We are sticking with basics. We'll have advanced questions in coming sessions. Good. Go on, give it a try. What will be the compound interest on 2000 rupees for 3 years at 10% per annum? Compound interest, CI. Take 1 to 2 minutes. You should solve so many questions of this kind so that you could answer it pretty much verbally. It's possible. It is possible to answer this question verbally. No. See, I can give you 4 approaches here. But do you guys remember 10% increase is 11 by 10. 11 by 10. 3 years, 11 cube upon 10 cube. So 1331 upon 1000 into 2000. So 1000 cancel. So 2 into 1331 is 2662. You keep in the bank 2000 rupees and they offer you 2662. What is the growth? 662, obviously. So what I'm doing here is by remembering some results. 10% growth, 10% growth is 11 upon 10. For 3 years, that will lead to 1331 upon 100, upon 1000. So into the principle. Now let me teach you more ways, innovative ways. If at all you are inclined towards applying the method, how much is the 10%? 10% is 200 rupees. That is first year. Can I say second year will be 10% more? What is 10% of this? 20 rupees. Second year will be 220 rupees. What will be the interest for the third year? 10 percentage more. What is 10 percentage? 22 rupees. So you move and add 22 rupees. You move and add 20 rupees. So that becomes 242. What is your total earning? Add them. If you ask me calculation wise, you have to move your pen. This is the best way because percentage is 10. Had it been 6 percentage, 4 percentage, 8.25 percentage, go for a calculator. Don't be a hero. Go for a calculator. 10 percentage hai, 5 percentage hai, do this. What is the approach? You remember the sentence, you remember the phrasing. Interest of the nth year is how much more? It is R percentage is more. What is R percentage? 10. First year interest 200 rupees. What is 10%? 20 rupees more. Second year interest 220 rupees. What is 10%? 22 rupees more. If not, use a calculator. Go on, try. Be careful with the phrasing of the sentence. Two minutes you have. More people need to try and answer. So the question says it is 2 years time and 2% interest per annum. So interest is 2020 rupees. What was the principal? What was the principal? So method 1 would usually be principal multiplied by 1.02 square minus principal is equal to 2020. So with a calculator, I will calculate the left hand side number and 2020 and divide that here. Put in the denominator. P is equal to 2020 divided by, this is point, I think 0404. Your answer is ready in the next step. Now, second method is, because 2 is a very small number, can I say 2 percentage plus 2 percentage plus 2 square upon 4 upon 100, which is equal to 4.04 percentage. So 4.04 percentage of the principal is equal to 2020. And I can clearly see 4 into 520, 4 into 520. The answer has to be 5 followed by zeros. 5 followed by zeros. Second method is what? Successive change. Second method is also very effective. It's a very small percentage only for 2 years. If this was 2 percentage for 3 years, this will become difficult for you to apply. This is best. In fact, the left hand side is a universal approach. Left hand side is the universal approach. Second one comes with conditions. I hope there are no doubts in this. Moving on. Let us try one more problem. In what time, how much time will rupees 360 turn into rupees 432 at 6.66% simple interest? Go on, try. In what time will rupees 660 turn into rupees 432 at 6.66% simple interest? You cannot expect such questions in any exam at this stage. These are just to help you grasp the formula. That is option 3 or 3 years. So without moving your pen much, keep your pen steady, don't write much. From here to here, what is the growth in money? The growth is 72 rupees. Do you realize 72 rupees is basically 20 percentage of 360? 10 percentage is 36. So double of 10% is 20%. So what should I multiply with this to generate 20%? I already have 6.66. If I make it triple, I have 19.98, which is basically 20%. That is what I am saying. You think more and more like percentage change or percentage values when it comes to simple interest. When it comes to compounding, you think more and more in terms of successive or in these terms. You are basically saying there is a growth of 72 rupees, which is basically 20% growth. So how do I get 20% out of 6.66? Make it thrice. There's your answer. Think more and more in terms of percentage. When it comes to SI, apply common sense. कोई बहुत हाई फंडू एप्लीकेशन नहीं है. So tomorrow we'll pick up from sixth problem. अभी धीरे लेवल बढ़ेगा. By the end of basics, this I say basics, you will be solving CAT level questions. In fact, I will include past year CAT questions. So we have seen a lot of theory. Revise that before we start tomorrow's session. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, guys. Plus, start sharing more and more questions in your Telegram group. Make it active.